Friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 118, June 28, 2014. Glad to be amongst you again. We had to go on relief mission to a zero-level colony, living in the sixth orbit of the site that you call Gliese 876, which was almost extinct by an aggressive race of insectoid caught by surprise. Unfortunately, insectoid races are very hard to deal with, and most often they simply seize what they need without giving greatest satisfactions to anyone. But now the surviving communities are being reorganized with the help of celestial astronauts, as they call us. Friends, I cannot take photos or allow photos of anything that might cause undue social change for the moment. I've been called the attention for doing these social studies involving terrains, but I was not completely banned of it since I do not cross certain limits. Our imaging systems are not compatible with your systems. We use a technology that forms the images holographically at molecular levels without screens, impossible to be transformed for your type of images. We may forward mentally this information between us and other susceptible humanoids. An expert can even examine a patient from this type of holography, as it can open the patient and observe, because the system shows not only the image but also everything inside it. I know it's hard to understand at the time, but the molecular holography molecularly actually copies the details throughout the design, as if it were your nuclear magnetic resonance that generates static sliced images, only that our systems produce the copy image of matter at the molecular level of the actual spatial positioning that is an exact copy of the internal and external subject matter involved in image form, all cells simultaneously at the molecular level. Well, let's stop talking about things that do not matter at the moment. About the questions being asked after CB put the video on the fact about the crew of your ship Columbia when it was destroyed by trying for the second time overthrow the satellite from Epsilon Bootis in 2003, possibly the Pleiades withdrew the crew by teleportation of organic matter before sending the message to your governments. As you can see, none of the bodies were seen floating near the wreckage. We do not have access to data on the military actions of the Pleiades, but this should have happened, and these 7 people were now in their custody. Mythy, is true that a splinter group of the Pleiades decided to withdraw more than 10,000 cabal of the planet? According to information that happened on the 15th of this month of June. My friends, you do not know the Pleiadians. There is not and never will be dissidents for the crews participating in the control instituted for this planet. Currently everything on the planet is being monitored. I do not understand how some of you can imagine that this could happen, especially when it comes to protecting the least must be protected as your elites. What can I forward to you is that there has been a greater movement of ships between the colonies reptilians from Mars and your governments. Many of you may not accept or believe in the existence of reptilians and human mixed colonies on Mars, but someday not too far you will remember everything that I told you about. Mythy. Many are asking if something is happening to prevent the firing of rockets into operations in Earth orbit? Not directly. Any device containing nuclear material for military or scientific use, in case of being detected, will not be released for placement on your upper atmosphere. The damage has been done, resulting in the creation of 2 intermediate layers of radiation in the Van Allen belts, was the result of unqualified scientific experiments by your governments, and generated much more rigid guidelines to protect the planet as a whole. It will not do to insist on that. Pleiadians probes are in place at all key points of the planet. You see, my friends, everything that you see in this scientific context presented to the public is a reality created for you to continue at a controlled level of knowledge. In your call 70s, your governments had already placed a much more advanced space station orbiting Mars. That was where they planned the installation of settlement areas with technological assistance of some reptilian companies. What they keeps here is only one shut up for the pseudo-scientific community of your planet. The reality that you live here, it's a reality made specifically to cover an entire scientific activity hidden by a minority. Today more than 50,000 beings are on Mars, many working in a regime militarily controlled in the implementation of the infrastructure they have planned for this new colony administered by a consortium human-reptilian. The community Galactica is monitoring these activities, and the reptilians will not pass military technologies to humans associated, as this would cause a direct intervention of forces far beyond what has all reptilian colonies united. I'm understanding the logic of the community Galactica regarding postponing until now the major natural events that should have ravaged the planet. The elites are just like a fire that is extinguished for lack of control options, running out of oxygen to burn. Some great ships prevented disaster, intercepting solar extremely hazardous emissions. The Arcturians are still controlling some key points of the crust following guidelines changes defined above. The geomagnetic field of the planet is diffuse. Our ships sail by magnetic interaction, and the system adjusts all the time to keep up with this asynchronous balance of the magnetic core. Your geomagnetic poles have not moved yet dramatically due to the control being performed by large object hovering over the southern quadrant, but this energy link between the object and the core of the planet is somehow warming Antarctica inside out and may not be used for a longer period. This artificial object is rotating at the same speed of the planet and following its orbit and axial movement of the shaft, to have no influence on the orbital behavior towards the system. We do not know exactly what are the scientific plans of Community Galactica, but I will pass the information to you whenever I get acquainted. There were some changes in the course of events during this period that I've been out of the system, and following the trends of these changes seems they decided to put your elites against the wall. Friends, although not pleasing, all I have to say again, your religious novels were left as guidelines in figurative language to ensure a line of decency and behavior of communities of thousands of years ago. The novels were rewritten by various cultures adapted to their people. This so-called Book of Revelations is all figurative language. The sequence of events that determines the direction of a society is generated by its members and not by a descriptive novel of theological submissions. All of you are now in the process of conscientization and not submission to concepts imposed by a controlling minority and distorted by thousands of changes and additions. Conscientization is the key word. Conscientization that you are part of a universe full of life, and that the best teaching is that generated by knowledge and understanding from within the soul of each of us. Be all with the light and peace.